14, 2019 meeting to order. So the first item of business is approval of the minutes. So does anyone have any questions, corrections?
So moved.
I'll second that.
A motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Motion passes. Chairperson's report. Just wanted to let everyone know I attended the Dolphins crab feed along with my fellow board member Pedro and his beautiful family, and awesome event. So, and I also have to say that the beautification in the community center was noticed by my guests, and they've never been to the facility before. So it is looking awesome over there. And of course, I'm so happy so many people came out to the community center dedication that happened before tonight's board meeting. The sign looks fabulous. Thank you, staff, for all your hard work on that. All I can say is we couldn't have dedicated the community center to a better person. So, and people, there's still a lot of people out there right now, so that's, you know, it speaks wonders of how.
Tried.
All right, that's all I have to say. So, do we have any comments from my fellow board members? Hi, Alan.
I got a couple things. First of all, more of a point of order, I guess. So after looking at the agenda, correspondence B, shouldn't that have been put on the agenda? Because it says they're asking if we want to provide a nomination by April 5th. And
There was
that's
no nomination sheet to go with it.
right, but still, we can still nominate, even though we don't have a sheet. It just says, please provide a nomination by April 5th. So at this point, if anybody was interested, which probably wouldn't happen, and I can't be on it since I audit the thing, but I'm just saying, I don't know if this should be on the agenda or not.
Based on that data, yes, it should have been. That's an error on our fault.
So, I
Our
mean,
fault.
can we do to add it to the agenda?
If you can, I believe it takes
Four-fifths.
four-fifths of the board. If you can, we can add it in.
Okay, so this is adding, what do we need to add again, Alan?
If anybody wants to run for the special district, for the Treasury Oversight Committee for the county,
Okay,
special district representative.
Does anyone want to? Before we
Well,
have
we can't talk about that. It's not on
Yeah,
the
okay.
agenda.
We have
It's on
to-
the agenda.
so is,
I'll make a motion to put it on the
I'll
agenda
second that.
as new business number 2.
okay,
Okay,
I have
sorry.
a motion and a second to
Who seconded?
Zach. Okay, all those in favor of adding item 10B to the agenda?
Aye.
Aye. Motion
Okay.
passes.
So second thing, I was just gonna go back to Terry and ask Terry, so has everybody filed their Form 700?
No, there's a few.
I still need to do,
Okay.
Diane.
It's due in a couple weeks, folks.
I
And
know.
Scott, did you file your second one? Did you print it out for me?
And I was actually, next month, I think it was, my ethics requirement was gonna expire, or the month after, and I fulfilled that, so,
I turned mine in,
Yes,
okay.
yeah.
that is
So
needed.
don't forget to do that, because you can get fines and jail time.
Been there.
All right, that's all I had, thank you.
So do we have any other?
Yes, me.
Okay, Pat.
I need to bring it up. Since I have my later years in life here, I'm looking at years down the road, I'm getting into law enforcement chaplaincy.
Oh, okay.
I went to a meeting, they impressed me, talked with some people, it's been good. It's something I want to do. It's something I'm very interested in. There's just a drawback to it. I mean, how far do I?
No, we can.
It's a 12-week thing, it's held every Thursday. So with that in mind, I'm gonna have to,
Miss a few meetings.
yeah, correct, you know. It's not like I'm running the streets causing havoc, it's just,
I mean, this is your call. I personally don't have a problem because I understand what you're doing.
Right.
I've dealt with the chaplaincy on various things, and, you know, Frank, who used to run it, I think his daughter, Mindy? No, who runs it?
Mindy, no, it is Mindy.
Yeah.
I don't know if Mindy's still doing it.
Yeah, she is.
So she is.
Yeah,
No,
She does.
she's
Yeah,
running it.
She's the one that's gonna be doing the
Yeah,
academy.
right.
If I could add to it, I've spoken with Pat and Diane about this and read the board policy. What I would recommend for the board to do is to have this placed on the April agenda. And the reason that there's some language in the policy that talks about missing 3 unexcused absences. And if the board were to agree to allow
Excuse
Pat to do this, then essentially, you don't need to change it, because it only deals with unexcused. And this would case, if you took a vote on it, it would be as an excused absence. So just for down the road, in case someone ever questioned it and said you didn't follow your own policies, I think the cleanest way, if the board is in agreement, that we'll place this on the April agenda for the board to take action.
And I'm in agreement.
Yeah, and it doesn't, by waiting till April, it doesn't affect, it doesn't appear to affect Pat's
No.
timeline.
No,
Okay.
there's no, they're saying end of May, they just,
Okay.
They're trying to get
What I
some
was gonna say is,
boxes.
because we technically have a special board meeting the week before our regular board meeting, don't we? Which is the
Yeah.
public hearing. So if we had to, we could put it on that.
Well, Pat and I talked, and it sounds like if we were to put it on the regular April board meeting,
Yeah.
it's still gonna be.
We're still good.
yeah,
That's-
we have
So,
time.
yeah.
That's fine.
But I think that's the best way, considering the way the policy was written.
Right.
We want to make sure that if somebody does challenge
Yeah.
it somewhere down the road, the board took the action to
I'm
do
there.
it this way.
Thank you.
Really?
Now we have to do it. Yeah, this was my, I wanted to see before I made 100 foot, and now I'm on my check off an application tomorrow.
No, they do awesome work. They do.
Yes,
That's
they
what,
do.
that's what I hear,
Yeah.
you know, that's what draw me into it, you know, or drew me into it.
I mean, you just see Mindy, I mean, she doesn't, I don't see her too often in my building, but she is so respected, and you can just see and feel her calmness when with her presence in the room. It's
One of the
incredible.
programs they deal with is every 15 minutes at the high
Mhm.
schools, and phenomenal program. Zach will verify that, I can, it's
I can tell you too.
great. Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it, so.
Oh, that's awesome, that's
And
awesome.
then in the
I
classroom.
think you do a wonderful job.
Thank
Patty.
you. I'm hoping.
All right, any of my other fellow board members have any comments?
It's a great event, great highlighted it off in Crabtree, I had a good time. I think it was a little more expensive though than what they led me to believe, so, but way to go, Mark. Way to go. All for a good cause. All for a good cause, you bet. So, way to go.
Let's go.
All right, reports from standing committees, so do we don't have, did anyone meet?
Nope.
All right,
Nope.
thanks.
Next one.
All right, administrators report, Larry, do you have anything?
Just want to point out 2 things in your packet. You have the miscellaneous district update. Those are things that most of you are familiar with, except for the Personnel Policies Committee. There's going to be 2 items that I would like to meet with the committee, so if you could, I'll get in touch with you next week with some dates and times and see if that works out for you.
Sounds good.
And then the second one is something I started providing to the board, I think about 4 years ago. It's just a schedule that shows you going forward with preparation of the preliminary and the final budget for next fiscal year. And you'll notice, where is it, May 6th to 8th, I'll be contacting Pat and Alan to find the date to have you review the preliminary budget. But this calendar pretty much closely resembles the previous years, and you know, staff has got the hang of the budget now, and we think that we can meet all these timelines.
All right, so does anyone have any questions of Larry?
No, it's good.
All right, is that all we have, Larry? All right, Scott?
I'd just like to publicly commend the park maintenance team for all the hard work that went into not just the landscaping project in the front of our building, but also the community center kickoff as well. We didn't farm this out. These were guys that are out there mowing grass and pulling weeds, and they came in and picked up paintbrushes and rollers, and putting that sign in was an engineering feat that I don't know if I'd want to do it again anytime soon, but it was just, I can't stress enough how wonderful it was to see a group of diverse individuals come together as a team and do things that are outside their normal responsibilities. We have lots of work left to do. It is not a finished project, but every single one of them deserves a lot of appreciation for the hard work they went into.
All right. Is that it?
That's
Scott?
it.
Does anyone
Unless
have any
there's any
questions?
Great job.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Very good.
commend the staff on that.
Please, please.
All right, Mark?
I do not have anything to add to my report, but if you guys have any questions, I'll go ahead.
All right, anyone have any questions? All right, thank you. Terry, we'll save you at the end, best for last, on payment of bills. Correspondence, 7A, letter dated February 15, 2019, from the California Special District Association Election Bylaw Committee, and that is under new business, item 10A. And item 7B, letter dated February 25th, 2019, for the Special District Pool Investment Fund Participant Agency Board Chairs, election of the Special District Representatives for the Sacramento County Treasury Oversight Committee. That was item 10B that we added to the agenda tonight. So our next item is 8, comments and reports from citizens and organizations. And we do have one community member who submitted a request to speak. So please come to the podium and introduce yourself and state what you would like to speak on.
My name's Maura Schaffer, which I can understand why you didn't say it. It's difficult. I live over on Channing, which is right behind, I'm going to probably say it not wrong, Stryzik Park. Thank you. And I moved in there last summer, and I've been doing lots of improvements. And the fences, 2 of my 3 fences blew down, and one of them is by your park, and it's held up with posts and a rope so that it doesn't fall into the park. And it would be nice, it's difficult buying a new house, it's difficult making all the repairs that you did not know needed to be done. And then to add on to it now a fence, which I was not counting on having to do. I know there's the good neighbor fence procedure that most people do. If you have a neighbor, you share the cost of it, but my neighbor is the park on one side. And I did call, I probably talked to somebody here. I could be wrong.
That was me.
Okay, I thought it sounded familiar. Saying that that's not something that this park district does. I know Sac City does, from what I understand. And I'm just wondering if that's something that can be considered, because I know, and it's not just my house, but, you know, other ones, the one next to me, kids walk by and kick it and it falls down. So it's not like it's limited to one building and, you know, things are kicked out and there is graffiti, but they cover it up. So, but I know the neighbors to the other side had dogs escape because in the same storm, the pickets fell out. So it would just be nice. I know not anybody here really has a whole lot of money in this district, you know, so it'd be nice. I'm a school district teacher here. Work for a lot of the schools locally teaching art, but it's really tight budget, and I don't know if there's anything that you guys can ever consider about that. So I thought I would bring that up just to see.
Well, I don't know if you're aware, but we can't take any action since it's not on the agenda. we can direct staff to find out what's the policy of other park districts, and they can come back and report to us, and let you already know.
I can share with you, I did not know that you were coming tonight, but almost 40 years in the business, I can tell you, having worked for a number of agencies, generally speaking, when parks are built and they put fences around there, those are put in by the developer. And generally speaking, and I can't say in every case, but I would say the vast majority of the times, park districts and cities don't replace the fences, and the reason is, it's the cost. And the fences technically, that's why you have usually the good side facing your house and the, well, not all cases, but generally the back side of the fence will, the poorer side will face the inside of a park. In our case, we probably have literally thousands and thousands and thousands of linear feet of fencing, which could be very cost prohibitive. Now, I will share with the board, and I certainly can put this on the agenda for the board to consider at the April meeting. One agency I previously worked for, in an effort to try to mitigate some of these fence issues, is that they actually put a certain amount of funds in the budget annually, and those funds were there on a shared basis, a 50-50 basis, that in the event that a homeowner had problems with the fence, they could actually apply for consideration of having the fence shared cost. It was limited, and generally speaking, there was more requests than there were available funds. But in all my years, I can only remember one case, and it was just because it was a very unique situation where the park district actually came in and replaced part of the fence. And you're right, it's cost prohibitive, and technically, we don't own the fence. The fences are owned by the homeowners, and that's generally why most agencies, and I was not aware that Sacramento did this. In fact, I'm not aware of anybody, any park district or city does that. But some may have, like what I had previously, had some sort of pool of funds to do that. So I would be happy to put it on the agenda for bring it to the board. Unfortunately, it's not going to be we only meet once a month.
So can I ask another question? So let's say there were some kids in one of our parks that kicked down someone's fence. Are we liable for it?
Technically not, because we don't
That's
control the parks are open areas. We don't, you notice we don't generally have fencing that closes off the park.
Right.
Even when you close off a parking lot, as we did at Brock, you can certainly get around those gates.
Right.
Vandalism, we certainly try to, as quickly as possible when somebody's graffitied a fence, but generally that's on the park side,
Right.
facing side. I don't want to say there's absolutely no cases where the districts and cities don't participate. I think that it's probably, in some cases, a case-by-case basis, but that is one way. When I was with the city of San Bruno, we had many parks with a lot of fencing, and I can't remember what it was. I think we put in maybe $15,000 a year, which wasn't much.
Because that was a little while ago, if I remember right.
Yes, and so people could apply, and then we had, just like our scholarship program, we had the criteria already in place,
Right.
so it could be done in-house.
Okay.
And then at least, we could participate partially, but as far as the funds would take us.
Right.
And again, because if you had a park where you had a high windstorm and knocked down the complete fence and say it was a redwood fence, a park like Strezick, and I don't know the dimensions off the top of my head, but we could be talking $25,000, $30,000 to replace all that fencing.
Probably 8 years ago, we had a big windstorm and it knocked down my fence, and it was heck finally getting the neighbors to pay, because again, like you said, you split the cost, and it's like,
Well, I can tell you on a personal basis, when I lived in Vacaville, a windstorm came, blew part of our fence down, and we turned it into the homeowners association, and they covered it.
yeah, but.
I've turned it into homeowner, or if I can talk,
No,
to my insurance, but they only pay part of it,
Right.
and, like I said, I'm on a pretty strict budget.
How much are your fences down right now?
Yeah, it depends on who you go through, but anywhere from 1,000 if they just.
Oh, I'm talking about
About 69 foot, is that what you mean?
Yeah, how many lineal feet, do you know? How many?
69,
So close to 70 feet, is it, that's redwood, I think old redwood, isn't it, Scott?
yep.
Yeah. at this point, there's no action we can take today, but we
No.
certainly can put it on the agenda for a board discussion at the next
Okay.
meeting.
All right, that works.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Yeah, I felt hurt, so thank you.
Is there anyone else in the audience that wants to make a comment or report? You sure? Do you want to talk about crab feed?
I'll talk about something, sure.
We already talked about the crab feed, so.
Hello, I'm Travis Bill, coach of the High Dolphin swim team, and I just want to take a second to say thank you for all the support that you guys have given to us over the past few years. Very grateful, the support you've given us with facilities and everything else, and actually helping us with the cost of the crab, kind of fronting us the money so we can pay it back to you guys. And hey, can't thank you guys enough. It really helps us out with this swim team. The crab feed was a huge success this year. I believe the profit was $4,200, all said and done after everything. That's the biggest that has been probably in the past 5 years, I believe. So, we can't do it without your guys' support. I just want to say thank you. I really appreciate everything you guys do for the swim team.
Sorry you lost the pool.
Well, that's my next thing. So next month I'll be up here speaking. When do we get our own pool?
Mom did the work.
Thank you guys. Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks.
But
Thanks for
thank
what
you.
you do too, Travis.
Thank you.
The swim team does an awesome job for the kids in the community.
Oh, Mark wants to talk.
Thank you. Okay, next item is unfinished business. We don't have any. Item 10A under new business, the California Special District Association Board of Directors call for nominations for CB like boy. Board discussion action nominating a board member or general manager for the CSDA CB. Alan?
Larry, are you interested?
I'm already on the Capri board. I think that's enough of a commitment.
Well, I would kind of consider it, but once reading, the little form they want you to fill out of what you've done, it's like, yeah, I've never really, I've been a CSAT, yeah, I don't think, I've been going and it's a very valuable organization, but I don't think I have enough credentials to win, so I'm gonna pass.
When you read the requirements of it too, it is time consuming.
It is.
Because you have to be at certain meetings and a certain number of meetings, and I think, unless somebody had the time to dedicate to it, that's a tough one to.
And a lot of times when I've gone to their conference, a lot of the board members, sorry, it's kind of obvious, they're almost all retired. So I'm thinking Pat, maybe, at the end of 2020, yeah.
And we're fit.
2021, he's good to go. Is that what you're trying to hit, Alan?
So, no, I think we're good.
Yeah, okay, so I think we're gonna have to say thank you, but no thank you, we don't have anybody. All right, thank you for considering that one. Okay, item 10B, so, election of the special district's representative for the Sacramento County Treasury Oversight Committee, so Alan cannot
I can't do it.
You can't do because
Nope.
you
I
audited
I
it,
audited
so there's a
quarterly.
conflict of interest.
A little bit. Oh.
Yeah, that would be huge,
I
so. Anyone interested in, being nominated to participate?
Just so you know, if anybody's interested, it's basically you go to one meeting every quarter, which is the second month of the quarter, second Friday, usually starts about 9, and it's usually done between 10:30 and 11. Yeah, morning. I know, for those who have day jobs, they
Yes,
can't do it.
yeah, we can't do it, yeah, so.
But maybe at the end of 2020,
10 to 20. I'm gonna be pretty busy.
yeah, it sounds like it. Good for you.
I don't know, it almost sounds like the chaplaincy is gonna have first dibs on it, it sounds like, so, all right.
Yeah.
No one's interested in that, so we're on to item 11, payment of bills. So does anyone have any questions? Alan?
No, not yet. I'm
Not
still-
yet?
Still seeing if there's anything. So the Comcast service at the shop, I'm assuming that's Wi-Fi?
Yes,
Okay.
we have joined the 21st century, and Sergio and Doug have access to internet now.
And
Emails.
we all can actually have access to all the cameras in our buildings here and
Oh, that's
outside,
very
as
cool.
well as the corporation yard. So at any given time, you want to pull up and say, well, see who's breaking into the corporation yard tonight? We can usually see who's there.
Cool.
All right, see, I
So-
knew not to go peek at that sign last week.
I guess this question's for Scott. So North Highlands Tire Pros,
Yes,
so we had a lot of $39.45.
annual oil changes,
Oh,
and
okay.
we do make
And
some.
$59.
Because we put a relatively small amount of miles on the trucks, because the district is fairly
Gotcha, okay.
contained.
Right.
We do oil changes and filters once a year, and then every other year, the trucks get smog checked.
Gotcha.
So that's the.
No, I'm, you know, they're, I go there too, that's a great organization.
They do very good work, and
They
they're very
do great
supportive.
work,
of the
and they
district.
stand behind everything they do, et cetera. I'm not giving a cheap plug because I don't get any of it, just to clarify. I'll make a motion to ratify payment of the bills.
I'll second that motion.
Get a motion in a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Motion passes. The next regular meeting of the Board of Directors will be April 11, 2018.
Can I correct that? I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, yeah.
What day?
We have a special board meeting
Yeah.
for, scheduled for April 4th at 6:30 here,
Okay.
and that's for the Cedar Creek Park.
Okay, so.
I'm sorry, we should have had that on there.
Okay, so the next, we have a special meeting in between, before our next regular board meeting to discuss, options for Sierra Creek for some grant funding, that the district is applying for.
It's kind of like a public hearing, correct?
Yeah, public hearing.
Yeah, okay.
Here in the North Highlands Recreation Center on April 4th at 6:30, is that correct?
Yeah.
And then our regularly scheduled board meeting, it will be on April 11th at 6:30 in the North Highlands Recreation Center, 6040 Watt Avenue, North Highlands. And this meeting is adjourned.
Did everybody get a chance to see the sign on, at the Cedar Creek Park as you're driving down?
Yeah.
I saw